Hello everyone, so with all the discussion about The Witcher 1 Remake, I was thinking about a different Witcher game that I feel still holds up pretty well, actually really well today, The Witcher 2. Specifically, I was thinking about a point in a previous video regarding The Witcher 1 Remake and how if the Witcher School armor is added, how could it be imported into The Witcher 2? I then got thinking about how cool it would be to have those armors in The Witcher 2 and imagined what the game would be like if updated into something similar to The Witcher 3, essentially a Witcher 2 remake. But is it necessary? In honesty, it's not that different to The Witcher 3 as it is. It is definitely less open world with less locations and far more, I suppose, story oriented, like a particular story as opposed to loads. It's very centrally, it's associated with one story, but that's also a strength of the game, as it feels very focused and self-contained. So does it need a remake? Well, I would say it doesn't need one. It's still a very playable game and very enjoyable, but do I want one? Of course. So there's a few points I wanted to make, and the first was in regard to the locations of The Witcher 2. I'm thinking specifically about an expansion to Flotsam, Vergen, Lochmuin, and the other larger locations. Wouldn't it be great to see these locations expanded even further, and more contracts and side quests incorporated? I'm not talking about like stuff that will affect the story, as I really wouldn't want to see the story affected in any way. I think The Witcher 2 story is very, very good. But just an expansion to the existing game, with more armor, updated graphics, and expansions to the locations that we go to. Essentially make the game more open world, but maintain that central story arc. It would also be interesting to see some combat improvements. I'd personally like the combat to be more like The Witcher 3's combat, but as I said in my previous video, an updated combat system that combines the best elements of all the games would also be interesting. For example, similar to The Witcher 1, jumping is not easy in The Witcher 2, meaning you can't really, only in specific locations when the game gives you prompts, so improving on this would be great. So this next point could be a bit controversial, but it's something I've been thinking about for a while when I've been thinking about if I would like a Witcher 2 remake, if there were any drastic changes, what would I want to see? So my first question to you guys is, have you ever played a game called Halo 2? If not, let me explain. Essentially the game follows two protagonists, the Arbiter and Master Chief, and shows each of their stories. The two are enemies, then become friends, and I think it's a really interesting way of showing a story, and we haven't really seen it that much. Further, in The Witcher 3, this happens but to a far lesser degree, with us seeing and playing Ciri's story, as Geralt learns about it. Well, what I would like to see is a Witcher 2 remake, but with both Geralt and Letho's stories being playable in the same way. Imagine we get to play that opening cutscene as Letho, we get to meet Iorveth and travel through the game meeting Seret and Orcs, whilst also playing as Geralt and following in his footsteps. I would of course want the majority of the game following Geralt and occasionally just dipping in and out as Letho. For example, I don't think we should be going around as Letho, building armor, stuff like that, which I'd love a game that does that, but I just think you don't want to detract too much from the central Witcher 2 story. You just want to have Letho's stuff enhance it. There are some issues I've thought about, such as the boss fights with Letho and his big reveal at the end of the game, but I think this can be handled well. All you need to do is not reveal Letho's full plan as you're playing through his story, keep it a bit of a secret from players, you're not quite sure what Letho's doing. I think it would be really interesting to see, and any boss fight between Geralt and Letho, you just play as Geralt. So understand, I'm not saying that we just play as Letho for half of the game. I'm saying that we get to experience more of his story whilst also playing as him, so we feel more connected to the character, and maybe we can see more little things that we don't get sort of full immersion in when we are playing The Witcher 2 normally. You could even do it in the same way as The Witcher 3, so as Geralt learns more about Letho, you just play bits of his story. Although I'd like to have a little bit more of an expansion than that, not just that, I'd like to actually play Letho's story a bit and feel like, oh, I'm sort of playing as Letho now. I think it would be a really interesting way to add something new to a remake and also just keep it pretty, like, you know, pretty central to what the story actually is. You're not detracting from anything, you're just enhancing the story that is there. So to conclude, I know a remake is not necessary yet. This could be something in the next 5 to 10 years, but it could solve the importing save game problems that I've tried to address before, and it could also show us more of the locations in The Witcher 2, which I think is always interesting to just see more of The Witcher and see these locations expanded a bit. There are a variety of other quality of life improvements we can also hopefully see in a remake, and of course, one of the most important points, we can see Yorveth in beautiful, updated graphics. But that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know what you think of these ideas. I'm interested in hearing if you guys have any too for The Witcher 2 Remake, what you would like to see, but also just let me know if there are any videos you'd like to see. I always like hearing what you guys would like to see, the kind of ideas you guys have, so you just share that and let me know. Like today's video to support the channel, and subscribe for more. I'm aiming for 4,000 subscribers, so let's see if we can do that. That would be amazing. But yeah, anyway, that's it for today's video, guys, and I will see you all soon. See you later, guys.